welcome to another exciting episode of Empowered. I'm your favorite uncle, Uncle Taps, and today we are celebrating women with disabilities, because Empowered, we focus mostly on people with disabilities. Today we're celebrating women. Yes, today is actually Women's Day, but probably you'll see this program a few days later. So today I'm with one such extraordinary young woman. Where do I start? What I know about her is that she's an IT expert. She's a diamond polisher by profession as well.
Mm-hmm.
She is a network engineer
Mm-hmm.
and aspiring project manager.
Mm-hmm.
Manager Chieza. Project manager Chieza, rather.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Tapio, for having me.
All right, let's start from your childhood, stuff that you can remember, maybe from school. What made you different? What made you stand out from other young women or young girls with disabilities from back then that you can still remember?
Well, first things first, I went to St. Giles School, which was an A-class school at that particular time.
Okay.
There were students or children who were colored, white, and so by that environment shaped me. So when I went to the other school, which is Eniko, the difference was very obvious because of the way I was speaking, and people could literally tell. Okay, you know how it is when if you get into an environment, there's something about you that's so visible, and people are not able just to ignore it,
To relate.
to ignore, because when you speak, they hear your voice and be like, "Oh my God, who is this girl?" Something like that. So that's how I was able to be different.
So you became outstanding?
You know what? I actually did at some point. At some point, I actually did.
Okay.
Because, when you're still Form 1, you're shallow, you're quiet, you're trying to figure out what's happening. And then from when you're Form 4, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, and above, you're outgoing.
Wow.
I remember I participated in the Miss Aniko Disability. I was the first princess there.
Wow.
And then there was another tournament. It was more of a modeling contest. Miss Jagus. I was actually Miss Jagus.
Wow.
So that also shows you that I was not just in my shadow. I was,
You were out there.
I was out there. I was just like my name, if you know what I mean.
Of course. You've always been Chieza. You've always been the light.
The light, exactly.
Okay. So from that time in childhood, you mentioned that you were at St. Giles, then you went to Daniko. Did you face any discrimination as such at Daniko? And if so, what sort of discrimination did you face, if any?
Yeah, I actually did. There's a time, like, you know how it is when you move from St. Giles, you're in your own world,
You're in your own
bubble,
cocoon, yes.
you don't know what's happening, what's going on, and then all of a sudden you go to it's a B school, yeah, and now you are forced to start try to adjust into an environment that you're not used to. Two, you've got the issue of having a very different accent, and people are now talking about
Musalad.
and all of it. It's awkward, and you're trying to blend in, and it was really awkward.
It's like you had to actually be apologetic about the privilege you came from.
Exactly. I had at some point I had to turn it down because I could tell that there were some people who felt offended. I can't say offended, but who felt uncomfortable with it. It might not necessarily have been everyone, but some of them you could tell even the way they were talking to you that they didn't quite like it, and even if you try to talk to them, they would consider you as a salad. You don't fit in because you're like that and all of that. But lucky enough, for some weird reason, I could make friends. I had friends, and I was never really alone. I was never really bored.
You're always surrounded.
I was always surrounded with a lot of people.
Okay.
And what made it very interesting was the fact that those able-bodied friends of mine really wanted to be around me. They would actually come looking for me
because of the vibe that you had.
Because of the vibe. Again, I'm a social butterfly. Sometimes I might not even be able to go places because of the nature of my work or other commitments, but given any other normal day, I like to be out there. I like to explore the environment.
Okay. Interesting. So, which makes me bring in the next question. You could relate easier to people who are not disabled at school because of the self-esteem that you already had, because maybe you had self-esteem built on you from St. Giles.
I had self-esteem built on me from St. Giles. That's why it was easy for me to be able to talk to them. I actually remember there was a time when
Mm.
it felt like it was not cool for you to be associating with, with the other guys. Why would you want to associate with able-bodied people when you are physically challenged? It
Mhm.
was not. It was not a spoken word. It was just, you know how it is where it's just a rule that is not laid out, that is not written in black and
Like the
white.
disabled should play with themselves,
Something like
but there's
that.
no country even got anyone not
Hakuna,
disabled. It's all about inclusion now.
exactly.
You know?
Hakuna, like there's Hakuna a world where they always when disabled and are able, but there's
So
nothing
it's
like that.
kind of like there was self-discrimination back then, Daniko. People with disabilities would actually discriminate
Themselves.
by segregating themselves.
Sometimes it comes from I can understand why.
Mhm.
Sometimes it comes from a fact equity. If you're coming from an environment where you don't have a strong support system, you tend to look down upon yourself because you don't have the strong support systems. However, if you have a strong support system, like my family, of course, you don't look down upon yourself. You consider yourself as a person, as an equal. However, for some of them, I'm not saying all of them, I'm talking about some of them might have had challenges with their confidence because of the environment they came from, the people, and all of that. And, it could also be a factor why some of them were like that. Or sometimes, like how it is, like bitten twice, something like that. Like probably something happened to them, and you start having a misconception about certain people. Like for an example, this whole misconception of people assuming that disabled people are always angry. They're always mad and angry.
We did an episode on that.
I saw it actually. I saw it, and it's not even about that. It's more like something would have happened. Sometimes something would have
Some
happened.
traumatic
It's a
experience.
trauma response, and it's not even their fault. And they assume every disabled is like that because you're disabled. Everyone assumes that you're just like that when it's not the case.
Indeed.
Mhm.
All right. What was the transition? What was the process? What went on for you from becoming an IT person, then you're a diamond cutter, now you're an engineer, and all that. How did that happen? Take us through it.
So, initially I was at Danica, right, for my O levels, and then they had this program, information and technology. I did my IT there, right. It was a national diploma. I had to finish attachment elsewhere. So when I came back, I didn't quite complete the ND, the ND, because around that time, that's when I got the privilege of being selected to do diamond cutting and polishing.
Okay.
So essentially, I had two things that I was doing.
So you had to choose one.
No, I did both. I didn't choose easy.
Okay.
So I did national national diploma information in technology, right? And the classes, I was done with the classes, this whole thing of on the job attachment, what and all of that. So I was able to do that. Most of the classes were done. It was more of the on the job training. And then I had to go to diamond cutting and polishing there in Cornwall College. So when I finished diamond cutting and polishing, I think it was around for 2 years. That's when I had to go back and completely finish the ND, because it was very difficult for me to be in both places. I just put the other on hold whilst doing something, but not necessarily neglecting it. But the whole Diamond College thing was another story. It was more like a piece of cake. What was more challenging was
the IT?
It was the IT, because I had to finish. I had to finish the higher national diploma, and at the same time, I had just gotten to work and in a telecommunication environment, so I needed to learn everything about telecommunication. I was blank. Remember, I was coming from an IT background.
Okay.
I had to learn everything, to learn the ropes. So it was more like Monday to Friday, I was doing HND, and then Saturday to Sunday, I was at Taiwan doing Taiwan diploma in telecommunications.
Okay.
So I didn't have any break. I was always working. I think for 2 years or so,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. I burnt out literally.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after that, my H&D came through, and I, instead of me applying for a bachelor's degree, I was like, I don't need to do this. I can go for a master's. I applied straight for a master's. I got it.
Wow, from
a
MD to
to
masters.
master's, yes.
Wow.
And then I graduated. I went my
Okay,
college.
where did you do your masters? If you can share with us.
I did it at Aden University. It was online.
Aden, where is that?
It's in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have an internationally recognized qualification.
Yes, I actually do.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I'm gonna think sometimes there's this statement
Ndizozwa.
because I couldn't go for block classes because I had work and it was very intense. So I opted for the online courses where my tutors and my classes were online, and
Okay.
I did that for about 2-3 years, and then I finished, and then I went there right to graduation.
So you actually went to the UK for the graduation?
Yes, I went with my mom, right?
Do you have any photos?
I do actually.
Yeah, some photos. We're sharing some photos there. Okay. Anyway, you were saying?
Um. So then, from there, from the whole graduation for the IT what, I then started to do certification that are related to the industry that I'm in.
Telecoms?
Not necessarily telecoms, more like related to the industry that I want to aspire
Okay.
to be, because for a while I was like, no, I want to be an engineer, but
now you're an engineer, and now that you're an engineer, you're thinking, I need more.
I need to be project manager, and I actually have certifications for that. This is the certification called Project Management Perfection. For people who've done it, they know it's a very, very good certification. Expensive, good, but well recognized. It's very good. And I also have it's called Agile, PMI Agile, Agile Certified Practitioner. Also, it couples well with this certification that I have. It's not just one, I've got many, by the way, because like I said, I'm aspiring to be a project manager. I don't have the experience yet, but I'm aiming.
You're working on it.
I'm aiming that I get into that field. You know, it is where you need to be first in so that you can get the experience. I have the papers. Believe me, I have the papers, all of them, but I don't have the necessary experience that is required for me to be, certified. On paper I am, but in terms of the experience that I want, I'm not yet there.
So are you working on that?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I am. Well, it's difficult, which brings me to the next thing.
Okay.
Like as a disabled person, you do everything on paper, but sometimes getting opportunities to get there it's not easy.
Tell me about opportunities. I know that currently you're working for one of the biggest telecoms organizations in the country. How did you get that opportunity? And apart from that, have other opportunities actually arisen for you while in that organization so that you step up the ladder and not remain just being at entry level?
No.
Okay.
No. I think I got the opportunity because of actually Grace. I literally went for interviews just like anyone else. There were 2 guys who were selected, me and another guy, and from there it was on the job training. They trained me on how to work with systems and everything, and it's now close to 14 years.
14
in the same post. This is
same.
I know. I know. This is why I'm saying I need to change. I need to be I need to be somewhere. Like, I need to elevate. I can't be confined
To one space.
to one space. Yes, some people assume just because some people might say, no, you already got a job, you're supposed to
You
be
should be grateful.
It's if you're in a work environment, it's not.
Indeed.
You need to to aim higher.
You need to progress.
Yeah, you need to progress. You can't be stagnant.
Indeed.
And imagine, like, LinkedIn talks about the average career being 42 years old. What does it mean for a person who's close to 42 years old? It means you're doomed. So you need to act. You need to do something.
Indeed.
And this is one of the reasons why I need to grow, because I don't want to wake up and regret and say, I wish I had done something that I could have, but then I didn't do anything about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I have, because sometimes you need to have gratitude in order for you to accept other things. I am grateful, but I believe that the world is my oyster. Why reach for why reach for the stars when you can reach the moon? You need to do more.
But you know what? As much as you're doing more, maybe you can also come in and comment about opportunities for people with disabilities. Are opportunities being given people with disabilities?
No.
And why not? What is the problem?
I think it's an issue of people not knowing. Because here's the thing, people are afraid of what they don't know.
Okay.
People might just assume because you are the way you are,
you're limited.
You're limited and you're not able to do anything. Here's the other thing that I've learned. This is a fact. It's not a matter of opinion. People will judge you based on what they see from the get-go. Am I lying?
That is true.
And it's
Face value.
Face value. And it's even worse for us, because the first thing that they see the
disability.
Exactly. And
not the person, not Chieza.
They don't see
not the project manager.
They don't see the project manager. They assume, this is more like a charity case. They're not going to be able to do what they do. And even if that's the case, most of the people who are at work, half of them, they learned the job on the job training. You don't start knowing basarako. Unotanga kuziva basa uri pabasa ipapo.
What did this one?
Meaning they should go and teach them. Like, for example, if you're not supposed to be limited just because of your physical disability, they should give people who are
opportunities.
Exactly. A chance. Opportunities. But they don't, because of the world that we're living in. Unfortunately, it's a cruel world out there.
Okay. And the world currently sees what we're not what they think we're not able to do versus what you are actually able to do.
Exactly. Face value, as you said. Which
is sad. Which brings me to my next question. I don't know. This is something that has been quite a debate amongst myself and some friends of mine. I asked, in fact, I actually posted a video on TikTok about this. Are people with disabilities' lives about proving points? Do we necessarily live life so that I can show the next person that I can?
It's
is it about that?
It's so weird. It turns out looking like that, because all the time you're always busy trying to fight for your rights, trying to show them that you're always able to. I always say this. It's, in as much as it sounds so wrong, I always say that I'm way done with proving points.
Indeed.
I'm
so
done.
am I.
I am so done with proving people that I'm able to do it. I've done a lot in terms of wanting to prove to people, and it's not even something that you do directly. It happens naturally.
So what happens? Is it because we feel inferior that we need to prove points, or do we prove points because we need to fight against the system? What happens?
We're fighting the system.
Okay.
The system does not give equal opportunities for us.
Okay.
So we need to come up with strategies and ways in order for us to get a seat at the table. This is exactly what's happening.
Okay.
It's not like we are inferior, we look down upon ourselves. If you look at it, sometimes some of us, we consider ourselves as, there. Like, I know you don't discriminate yourself. But when you do probably have anything to do with you to say about how you feel, it's got more to do into making them understand exactly what's happening and what's going on. To fight a bit harder for them to see that you're able to do it. But until when?
Okay.
Until when are you going to be fighting for that?
I think this is where we come in and say, not only government, the whole of society must create an enabling environment for people with disabilities to thrive. I think maybe I can talk about Zimbabwe because I've lived in Zimbabwe for almost all my life. The Zimbabwean society is lost in that it feels, this is my point of view, maybe I might be wrong, that people with disabilities belong to government. Government must do this, must do that. And what about the rest of society? For example, we're talking about private companies here. Have you ever worked for government? No.
No, it's the private company.
But the talk is usually government must do this and that for people with disabilities.
Think of the
But we don't belong to government per se. We belong to the nation, to the society, to the community.
that's true.
Let's talk about advocacy.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that I know that you were part of Young Voices at one
Yes.
point.
Mm-hmm.
Then you became vice. Was it second princess, first princess, Miss
It was
Disability?
Best Princess.
First princess, Miss Disability. You've
Mm-hmm.
been to New York, UNCRPD. Take us through your journey. How did you start Young Voices, being a member and ending up in New York and all that? How did that all happen?
Funny thing, it happened so fast.
Mhm.
I went to Young Voices, I think sometime in November,
Mhm.
because, well, you had called me there.
I invited you
You
to join.
invited
I
me
was the coordinator at the time.
and I went there. I saw it was nice. I saw that people were sitting and talking about sharing their experiences. It was really nice. And for a while, we kind of felt like we were on our own bubble. It was a really nice experience. Like, can you please attend this conference?
Mm.
They want you to be a panelist for this. They were talking about disability related issues at the United Nations. And then I went there, and it was not just, what I liked about it was just the two of us, me and another girl from I think it was Ghana. So I was representing the southern side, and she was representing the northern side. But
Wow.
it turns out that she couldn't get a visa, so I was the only one representing Africa.
Really?
Yeah, because she
Wow.
didn't come, unfortunately. Yeah, so I was the only one. I was part of the panelists. It was a very interesting conversation. I think that was the first time I started hearing about mainstreaming disability in youth and youth and disability. And when I came back, I spoke because we wanted action items. I think we did some of the things because there's a time where there was, oh yeah, Miss Disability. I think it came from that. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember, but there were so many things that were on the action items that we actually did manage to do.
Wow.
And then I did the Miss Disability pageant. I was the first princess of Miss Disability Harare. And then after that, I started to, when I do get an opportunity to go for other advocacy, I do, but because of, work and life commitments, sometimes I may not be able to do that. But then I did go back to the United Nations again for the second time.
Back to New York.
Back to New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was this?
It was 2017.
All right.
But this time, it wasn't just a short trip.
Okay.
I had to go see family. I went to see my family. I went to see my friends, and I got to see the Statue of Liberty again, and to also see Georgia because I've heard so many things about Georgia and all of that. And then I came back, and sometimes, yes, when I do have time, I do attend some conferences. Like, for an example, sometime in April, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, there was a disability related conference that was being held by, what's her name? I forgot her name, unfortunately. But she's a very well spoken person. And then I went there, then at least I got to talk and be around people who are also physically challenged like me. When I do have the chance, I do, and when I don't, well, yeah.
Okay. Just a follow-up question on the issue of advocacy. So, being in the advocacy space, what have you actually said? These are your take-homes. What have you learned, or what have you gained from being in that space?
Well, first things first, the confidence. Do you know when you constantly do something, it becomes natural and normal to you. Like, for example, we're having a conversation right now. For some, it might be difficult because they're not used to that. But because I'm used to that kind of space, it's quite, it's okay for me, right? And number two, when you get to talk to people and share your stories about some of the challenges that you're facing, you get to change the perception, change their mindset. Because like I said, remember that people are afraid of what they don't know. If they
Indeed.
don't know anything about disability, probably going to shun you anything or things of that kind.
Mhm.
But if people are aware and are educated, they're
Mhm.
most likely going to to be open. And from all of these conferences that I've attended, I've also realized that we need to have um, a strong support system of people who are lobbying for us, who are not necessarily disabled, because we've been making so much noise about disability inclusion and all of that, but we also need
To be inclusive.
exactly,
We need allies.
exactly. So when we have people who are vouching for us in our absence, it's good for us. The whole mental thing, sponsorship thing, like if you want to get promoted, you're not promoted by the person who you in under normal circumstances. The person who's going to promote you is someone who's your sponsor, someone who's going to say things about you in your absence
Indeed.
and vouch for you.
Indeed.
So we should have the same
We
analogy.
should have a mentorship
Exactly.
system of some sort.
That advocates for us on our behalf. So
For
that,
example, artists with disabilities, maybe I'm a singer, maybe could have Ja Praise as a mentor.
speaking of Ja Praiser, I am obsessed with that guy. I really, really, really like Ja Praiser. Maybe because he can speak to the soul. And by the way, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I feel like we're related because his totem and my totem are the same thing.
So maybe you guys are related.
Yeah, I think we're related. Ja Praiser, please hook up. Come see your sister. Come see
I hope you're watching, Ja.
Yeah. So yeah, when you have artists like that who will be vouching for us and lobbying for us in our absence, I think it will be a very good thing for us. It will at least help us to get the traction that we're not able to do for ourselves, because we can only do so much. We can make noise, we can talk about inclusion policies and attend meetings and all of that. But at the end of the day, we need to have movement. We need someone to vouch for us,
In our
especially
absence.
powerful. Exactly, especially powerful people. So I think if we have people like that, it will help.
Wow. Right. Talking about vouching for us. Are you aware that Zimbabwe recently came up with a new act that is aligned to the UNCRPD?
I've heard about it. You spoke about it. Please tell me more.
It's called Persons with Disabilities. No, it's called Persons with Disabilities Act of 2025.
Okay.
So one of the provisions of the act is that in every employment sector, 2% must be people with disabilities.
I like that, but we should make sure that the people that they are employing are qualified. We don't want to have a situation where we're just getting just any other person, because if we don't do that, people will spin it against us and say we're just employing them because they are physically challenged.
And then we'll have people who are just general workers and not skilled.
Exactly.
Of course, we also need to have reasonable accommodation.
Exactly. We need to have that. It's very important, because we all have our own sets of issues. It doesn't, because the funny thing is people assume that if you are disabled, it's just the legs. They don't know there are other underlying conditions before that, like behind that. You can't go around explaining to everyone what you're going through. It's not supposed to be like that.
Private and confidential.
It's private. So at least if organizations or companies have that policy that includes reasonable accommodation, it'll be good for a lot of people.
Of course, you can't really expect to hire or employ persons with disabilities without accommodating them so that they perform effectively at their duties.
In the event that something does happen, at least they are aware on how to be able to handle that. Because imagine, this is just an example, I know you have a prosthetics, right? And then God forbid something happens to it.
It has actually happened before.
You see what I mean?
There's a time when
how are they going to react to that?
Let me tell you about this time. I was literally standing in front of, this was during the time when I was at Young Voices Coordinator. I was literally in Blueyo. I was standing in front of the Young Voices. I don't know what I was what I was talk I was facilitating, and all of a sudden, boom! My prosthetic leg broke.
Oh my God! You know what? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Then what happened?
Well, then I managed to get a taxi, and then I went to the nearest hospital, Fortunately, they were able to fix it, and then
That's
it
a
was
good
fixed.
thing. That's a good thing. But imagine you are in an environment where there are no people to be able to help you. You are going to be confined and stuck.
You'll
and
be
that's
screwed.
no, that's not a good feeling at all. I know what you mean. I'm sorry about
Indeed.
that, by the way.
But anyway, it's okay.
It's some of
It's
the
life.
experiences that we talk about to explain that there's certain things that we go through that we cannot share and talk about, but there has to be reasonable accommodation.
Indeed.
Mhm.
Now, coming back to you as an individual, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
What is your advice to the young girl? Maybe she's at King George, Daniko. Maybe she's at a school that accommodates kids with disabilities that is mainstream. That she aspires to be like you. She aspires to become an engineer. She aspires to become a project manager. What words of advice or words of wisdom can you give to such a young lady
Okay.
with a disability?
Do not let the world define you.
Mm.
This year we're talking about give to gain. That's the theme of the year, give to gain.
Mm-hmm.
Giving does not necessarily mean that you give money.
Mm-hmm.
You can give
Your time.
your time.
Mm.
Give your time to learning a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because trust me, when you give, you gain.
Mm.
And the highs that you get from knowing that you've given something are way better than just receiving.
Indeed.
What am I saying? I'm saying that focus on yourself, focus on
Mhm.
making yourself better, develop yourself. I'm saying give back to yourself.
Be the best of yourself.
Exactly. So you never know what might happen.
Mm.
The sky's the limit. Don't be
Indeed.
limited based upon what people assume. If I want to be a project manager, most definitely I will. That's like an open invitation. I'm receiving of jobs out there because you never know. Maybe I might let myself into the United Nations. I don't
Indeed,
know.
indeed.
Because I feel, in as much as I don't have any proof of that, I literally feel that there are many people with disabilities out there who are very qualified, have the vision, have the power, but they are not being given the opportunities to be able to do that, to be able to go there. So when they have platforms for them to be able to showcase themselves, you never know, they might actually be better than other people, or they may actually make it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my take.
All right. So basically, give to gain.
Gain.
Make sure that you become the best of yourself.
Exactly.
Whatever opportunity you get, grab it. And don't give up.
Don't give up.
The sky is
Never
the
give
limit.
up. Because if you give up, what if you regret within a couple of years and you say, I could have done this? Because sometimes I look at myself and I say, if I hadn't done this, I was probably going to regret it. I was
Yes.
probably not going to be where I am today. So don't live your. Yes, life happens. You've got a different trajectory. You want to go to A and then you end up with B or C. But at least put an effort on trying to make yourself
A better person.
the best version of yourself.
Indeed.
Develop yourself, please. Whatever you do, make sure that you're constantly developing yourself because you never know. Maybe the next opportunity might be actually out there or might be next door.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Words of wisdom. Project manager Chiedza. Always amazing to interact with you. I am always awestruck to be in your presence. Why? Because I see the greatness that is in
Thank you.
I see the potential that you still haven't tapped into. There's greater things yet to come from you.
You've always said that, Tapio.
And I am very confident of this.
Thank you.
Mark my words, 5 years from here, from today, what year are we in? 2020?
2026. Yeah.
2031. You're going to say, Tapiwa, you were right about what you said on that day.
I can't wait.
Viewers, I've been your favorite uncle, Uncle Taps. Project Manager Chiedza, signing out.